This is Gleb Kaggle, and this is final project implementation for the Kaggle submission for predicting the temperatures of the next day's temperature based on the previous 24 hours of data. So in order to do that, I used IBM Cognitive Classes, the notebook tool. So in order to achieve that, I imported the data sets which was given for this work as training and test data sets. For the training data set, I did rescale it to the z-score, where I actually, before that, I removed the timestamp from the Pandas data frame. After that, I converted this data frame to the appropriate LSTM format, where basically I'm going, I used a 24-hour window where I'm going back, and for each 24-hour window, I basically concatenate rows as columns. So it will be a feature for each column. So it will be 14 features for each of the 24 hours. So 336 columns total. And the label here will be the 25th column, which we will need to predict. So basically I return it here and we'll create a new shape of the data frame. After that, I separate I split the data set into the train and validation data set. Basically 30% of that will be the validation data set. And then for each of the model, I reuse the function to output some of the statistics for each of the epoch. So I show the mean absolute error because this is the regression task. So the mean absolute error will make sense to measure the error. And for the actual loss function, I use MSE, which is the mean squared error. And also I show the predicted versus actual values. So I'm trying to predict the, I'm trying to use the model to predict the validation data set, and I rescale it to the validation data set statistics after that, and show it in a chart as actual versus predicted temperature. So it will help me to show how correct or incorrect the output is for predicted, for basically training versus validation data sets. So for this task, I wanted to concentrate on the design of a network rather than tuning hyperparameters for one design. So I used I used the same amount of epochs and same amount of batch size for each of network design here, and I basically try to learn how each design will, how each design outputs and how each design of the network is working based on the same hyperparameters. So I use the basic LTSM network. I use the stacked one approach and the recurrent dropout here and others. So the actual one which I submitted was the bidirectional model, which actually showed the best prediction result for the Kaggle submission. Also, in order to submit to the Kaggle, I created a reusable function where I try to first create a z-score, basically scale the test data set. So I create a z-score here, and then I'm trying to reshape it for the LSMT. And then I'm just using the model to predict this test data set that I have here. And then I scale the predicted temperature result to the actual values here using the statistics from the test temperature data set, which we know already. And then I just create a, basically I use the submission template to and substitute the temperature column with predicted results here. So, and that's how I submit it. So in order to, I cannot show all of the models running here because it took over 3 hours to run all of the models, but I can show that at least one of the model is running. For instance, I can show that LSTM model is running. So when I click on that, it shows so that each epoch is actually running here. So that's it. I think I show like some of my work. So thank you for watching.